Call the cops on me. On a mission to be champs since they let me free. Prepare for combat, my adversaries crumble. Face it, I got a reputation for damage. Busters get ready to rumble. They lock me in a cell, have me trapped in a living hell. Though not guilty, I'm still in jail. Brother, I serve my time like a soldier. Maintain composure. My shadow boxing the fight to the death. Busting boulders. Every boxer with a pair of gloves. Best give up love. Here's a man from the makings of a thug. A lethal weapon, mind sharp. And in my heart, there's a wish to shake the world with the flurry of my black fist. Now once a high school dropout. Now I'm the $1 million champ. Who's the next to get knocked out? Straight out of Brooklyn and worldwide.
What's going on, everybody? Another episode of GC's Box Show. As I hear my boy JP. JP, what's up, man?
Uh-oh.
I think I'm about to start talking like this because we got so much action going on this weekend. I'm going to hurry up and talk everything and try to fit it in about an hour, all right? Here we go.
45.
First things first, follow us on Twitter, Cheap Seats Box, iTunes. Rate and review. Help us out. Keep us more visible. Keep us up on them rankings. We would truly appreciate it, and we will shout you out, make you the unofficial sponsor. Welcome to all the listeners. Oh, yeah, you can email the show, cheapseatsboxing@gmail.com. Start getting in your end of the year, because that's getting ready to come up. Fight of the year, round of the year, knockout of the year. All that good shit. If you guys want to, email it, cheapseatsboxing@gmail.com. And again, welcome to all the listeners, all the platforms. There's a million of them now, including the old school. The old school.
Stitch is Zoom.
Yeah, Stitch is old too now.
Lord have mercy.
All right, this past weekend, man, we had some action. I don't know. I think the biggest fight was probably Denis Lebedev being outpointed by Murat Gassiev in a unification, non-unification cruiserweight match. Just as far as the fight goes, man, it really is kind of a tale of two fights for me. It kind of, in a way, mirrored a little bit of Ward and Kovalev, where you had the champion in Lebedev kind of get. I thought Gassiev clearly won the first half of the fight, and I thought Lebedev closed strong and won the second half of the fight. And again, the knockdown was a differential for me. I had it even. And in the knockdown, Gassiev knocked him down. I think it was in the seventh round, the fifth round. And I think that was the difference for me in the fight. Gassiev had the bigger punches, the more impactful stuff. But like I said, Lebedev closed strong. I think it's a little funny that the guy who's not in VADA closed stronger than the guy who is in VADA, and the guy who isn't in VADA is 37 years old, and he closed stronger than the young 23-year-old. But that's just me saying things.
Who was technically the hometown guy?
Well, Lebedev was the hometown guy, and he didn't get the decision. So, I thought...
Who's been in America long?
Gassiev. It was kind of shocking. And you know what? And I guess we can kind of give it up to the Russian judges for actually, I thought they got it right. A lot of people thought Lebedev won, but I think that Gassiev did the better work. I think he was the stronger puncher, did the more... I thought there was cleaner, harder shots that he was definitely hitting Lebedev with. But Lebedev got lucky because the WBA did not sanction the fight. So both of his belts were not up. So even though Lebedev loses, he actually gets to keep the WBA title. Man, the WBA. We got to love the WBA, don't we?
Wait. How did they make a fight that the WBA couldn't sanction?
The WBA does their thing.
I'm just saying.
He lost the IBF belt. But it is what it is. I guess they'll rematch it. And I guess this time the WBA is not going to have much of a choice if it's a true unification bout instead of where Lebedev had both of the belts. So, but it was a good fight. I wouldn't say it was a great fight, but it was a good fight. There was some good action going on this last weekend. And if they don't fight each other, I mean, as Gassiev gets better, maybe he is a guy who could actually compete with a guy like Alexander Usyk, who seems to be the guy of the future of the cruiserweight division, where, like Lebedev and Hook and guys like that, those guys are the past. Those, they're
172 in boxing.
Yeah.
Cruiserweight years.
But It is. It was what it was. I thought it was a good fight. I mean, I'm gonna go the total opposite spectrum of that. And Billy Joe Saunders outpoints Artur Akavov in a fight that I told Steve Kim yesterday on Twitter. I was telling him the action in that fight had me craving Rigondeaux at Becco too. You know, like there was that little action in that fight.
Here's the thing. If he could fight like he could talk, it'd be different.
If you could fight half as good as you could talk, I'll just take half as good.
You know, put duct tape on him. You ban his Twitter thumbs.
He's definitely what they would call it, the keyboard warrior.
Keyboard gangsters.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna kick your ass in all caps.
Yeah. Exclamation mark. That's all that fight deserves. That's the extent. BJ Saunders, honestly, it's probably a draw. Who gives a shit? Because we didn't know who the hell that guy was that he was fighting. Upset of the weekend. I think that it was on the undercard of Lebedev and Garcia. It was Edward Troyanovsky defending his what was it, WBA, I'm sure, is a regular. Was it regular? I think. I don't fucking know. His IBF belt, sorry. His IBF 140-pound belt. But Julius Ndongo took care of that shit in 47 seconds.
Bang.
Yep, pretty much bang, bang. Well, there goes any chance of maybe a guy like Adrian Brown trying to get a belt like that. You know, he'll still go after Ricky Burns, I'm sure. But Ndongo, I think, shocked everybody that Troyanovsky, and it was set up for him to win. He was in Russia, you know, but you know, who knows? I'm sure there's probably a rematch clause in there, so maybe he'll get a chance to actually
after he wakes up.
Yeah, after he wakes up. You know, maybe they'll run it back, and maybe he won't get caught with a. It was really one of those Sunday punches. You know what I mean? Like from way back, bang.
He saw it coming and he was like, "That's all right. I got this."
And if you notice, we're going through these fights fast. Why? Because we got 1,000 more we got to talk about, and this weekend is going to pale in comparison. This last weekend is going to pale in comparison to what's coming up this weekend. My boy, Jose Ramirez, sells 13,700 tickets in Save Mart Center in Fresno. Gets the KO in 6 against late replacement Usaf Kinda. Not much to say about this other than the fact that
he showed up to get his ass kicked.
And I think the one thing that you can say about this is 13.7. I mean, that's rarefied air in the United States for selling tickets. You know, Bob Arum is doing his best to try to get Ramirez a title at 140 without having to face a guy like Terrence Crawford, because you got two guys who can sell. Like Crawford, 11,000, maybe 12,000. You got a guy like Ramirez is pushing 14,000 tickets sold. Do you really want those guys meeting together in a place where they're not going to sell tickets? A guy who only sells in Omaha, and the only guy who sells in Fresno.
We can meet in Utah.
Exactly. The Mecca. No beer sales.
Phoenix, Arizona.
But how remarkable is that in a guy who is still very much a prospect? He does need to start stepping up the competition, and that's what he had planned on doing with a guy like Gabriel Bracero. But, you know, backed out, late replacement. But people, it just doesn't get the coverage that a guy like Crawford, and for reasons because he's not at that level yet. But as far as ticket sales in a draw, 11, 12, 13, and 13 in those last 4 fights at Save Mart Center in Fresno. Those numbers just aren't duplicated by too many fighters right now in the U.S.
I know they're gonna lowball him because he's doing good. He's a way to stay in the black, because that's good. That's good ticket sales. That's good money. And Bob like, I ain't got to pay this guy $1 million a pop, so let me put this in my pocket. But if he keeps this up, Bob can't blackball him or lowball him. And he can fuck around and be the king of Fresno and LA.
King of Fresno is not hard right now. The way the Bulldogs are playing, it ain't that difficult.
He could be the king of both right now.
He really could. Just keep on watching that. I mean, that's a story that just isn't getting told very often. And I mean, doing quick math, I mean, if an average ticket is $75, average ticket, which you know is probably a little bit more than that.
Then he doing damn good.
I mean, you're talking about $1 million gates.
And you know what? I would be mad at him. Look, hey, we good. We gonna come here 3 months from now. We're gonna do this again.
As he continues to sell, and the tickets become higher in demand as he moves up the ladder, those ticket prices go up, and the gate goes up. He's gonna be pushing $2 million gates. It's crazy because you really don't see this outside of. Well, North America. In North America, you only see it like in Mexico. That's it. And you see it throughout Europe, UK, Germany, Russia. That's different. But here in the U.S., you just, especially up and coming, it's almost unheard of as an up and comer selling that kind of tickets.
I mean, he's box office and people don't know it. That's the crazy part about it. He's box office and people don't know it. But at some point, you're going to have to recognize that, him and Crawford are basically redefining territory.
Yeah, they've opened up new markets, definitely.
Yeah, they just redefining territory. Like, we can't sell. Oh, bullshit, you can't. And it's consistent. It's not, one fight is this.
One-off, yeah.
No. This is, guess what? The next fight is going to do what? 13, 14,000.
Yeah, exactly. It's just what he does anymore. It's just, he's probably, I guess I'd say he's the most famous boxer that nobody knows about. You know what I mean? Like,
which is great.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, you're going to make your money. Second of all, you still on the low. Third, when somebody tries to pull this A side, B side crap,
yeah.
I got
good luck with that.
Yeah. I sell more tickets than you. What are you talking about?
And the last fight, Denis Shafikov defeats Richard Kami in the IBF Eliminator to go back and fight Robert Easter. I thought it was I don't know how I felt about this fight because it was entertaining, but honestly, like the venue was so small that it almost felt like you were watching like a gym war. You know what I mean? Not sparring as much as like two guys just going at it. Like, I don't know. It kind of, you know how like when you're watching a UK fight and the crowd is like enhancing the action. You know what I mean? Like if you had that kind of crowd with this fight, it's a really, really good fight because of how small the crowd was, where you could literally see the exit to the bathrooms. I mean, that's how small it was. Like even the place in Monaco where Triple G would fight was way bigger than that, and at least Monaco was paying big money for it. But
well, to be in a title fight after this, big things come from humble beginnings. Just because you fight in the daycare doesn't mean you can't fight for the title. And which, by the way, would be an interesting rematch.
Well, no, Kami was the one who he won it from. You talking about those two?
Fuck, yeah.
But Shafikov right. Putting on the pressure, right? He's kind of puts on the pressure.
I'm fucking up.
It really sets up to be a really good fight though with Robert Easter. And plus we just saw the fight with Kami, and it was a good fight, but it's nice to see a different fight. You don't want Kami going back to back. I mean Kami and Easter going back to back. So this is a different look. This is a guy who's more seasoned even than Kami. And Shafikov, he's fought better fighters, so he brings a little bit more pedigree to the fight. He's probably going to give Easter a little bit more to deal with. And as a guy who's a big fan of Easter, I want to see him continue to go up against different styles and different levels. That way, he can raise his game up. That's what I want to see out of a guy like Easter. And I think a guy like Shafikov brings that out in Easter.
You know, these fighters from across the pond, sometimes in the right time, they give American fighters trouble in certain scenarios. You were prepared for somebody else. You were prepared. He's now he readjusts his game plan. Question is not who he fights, but how he fights or how he trains from this point on. Cause that's gonna be bad.
I think Easter took care of both of them anyway. I think so, but I just like the fact that it's a different look in Shafikov for Easter. As an Easter.
I don't trust these Shafikovs.
They'll be in the U.S. Ask Sergey Kovalev how that goes. Real quick before we get to the action this week, the Hall of Fame list came out, right? The names: Evander Holyfield, Marco Antonio Barrera, Johnny Tapia, Jimmy Lennon Sr., which I know people are probably thinking, how the fuck was he not already in there? He was in Rocky. Steve Farhood, Barry Tompkins. A lot of people like me who's in their 40s and people older than me, they've heard that voice. He was on the call in the Arguello.
Whoa.
The Arguello.
Yeah.
Why am I blanking?
I can't get the
Aaron Pryor fight. I mean, hell, he's still doing Show Extreme fights with him and Steve Farhood do them together on Show Extreme. Last time I saw him, because I haven't had Showtime for the last year, so
that's great and crazy at the same time because, damn, how the hell he what? You know what? I'm not.
Yeah, Jimmy Lennon Sr. gets in. Wasn't Jimmy Lennon Jr. was it last year or the year before he got in? And I think his thing was he's like, man, my dad should be here before I ever was.
How you do?
Yeah, I know.
They need to talk to the NFL committee because they're fucking up royally like them.
And this is the bad thing. These Hall of Fame things sometimes. Baseball is notorious for this, and now boxing is doing it, where people get in after their death. Like Jamie Lennon Sr., like Johnny Tapia. It's like they have to be dead for them to start to get the recognition. It's just like.
So, and just like these other sports, when the reporters die, people go, thanks. It's about time we got rid of that bum. He doesn't know what he's doing.
The craziest thing about this, too, is seeing Evander Holyfield's name on the list. It was like, he's only been retired. I mean, he's been retired for 5 years. It seems like he's fought since then, you know what I mean? Because he was always talking about that comeback fight again. He's been retired now for 5 years.
You remember Michael Jordan's speech?
No, I didn't listen to Michael Jordan's speech.
And he said, I'm
not a Michael Jordan fan. You know that.
Well, you're not a fan of greatness. I understand. Steph Curry sucks, but that's all another stuff. Anyway, when he was in the middle of the speech, he said, look, don't be surprised if I come back. And they started laughing. He's like, I don't know what the hell y'all laughing at.
You ain't come back.
Hey. I don't trust him.
You ain't coming back. You ain't coming back.
He can give you 10 minutes and 20 points with the same turnaround shot. Look, young blood, I ain't playing no defense, but I'm going to catch you with this shimmy right here. Fade.
Marco Antonio Barrera. Most famous for his fights with with what he did to
we only talk about the positive ones.
Well, no, about Prince Nassim. He's most famous for Prince Nassim and Eric Morales.
All right.
And kind of the emergence of one Manny Pacquiao.
But the rematch is.
But think about that, like where Marco Antonio Barrera was, that beating him the way Pacquiao did launched him. That's the kind of level of fighter that everybody thought of it with Marco Antonio Barrera.
He's like synonymous.
That was a launching pad.
Right. He's like synonymous with 4 Hall of Famers. Pretty much. So you gotta, I mean, when you think of him, you can think of good, positive, and negative moments, but they all damn near Hall of Fame fighters.
Yeah.
And that's a different era. Well, actually, these guys were fighting the best when they were the best, when they were in their prime, when they were willing to you know, do whatever it takes to add to their legacy. It's not too much. You win or loss, you can't say really nothing bad about that man.
No.
Like he came with it.
All deserving, you know, like, and sometimes there's always that person on that list where people are like, I don't know if he's really Hall of Fame. As far as the boxers go, I don't think there's any argument with those 3.
You can't.
I don't think so.
Because even but he lost. But look who he lost to.
Yeah.
Look who he beat.
Exactly.
It was like, well, what? That's a hell of a hit list and come on, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
All right. This is probably the biggest boxing weekend of the year. You can see that the promoters are like, fuck, I owe this dude a fight. I gotta get him one last one before the end of the year. Contract says I gotta get him a second or third fight, you know.
And he said he wanted to get his baby some new shoes for Christmas. He will kill me if I don't get him a fight before Christmas.
So let's start right at the top. The return of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
And he quits.
Versus Dominic Brish. Hold on. Who's that guy?
Who the fuck is that guy?
Mm-hmm.
Who the fuck is that?
I don't know either. I don't know who the fuck he is. I just wanted to laugh at that. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Great, the return. Yay. Yay. The first spoiled brat, Mexican who's called a spoiled brat. You don't see that very often.
You mother... No.
Showtime is going to be having fights from the afternoon all the way through the night. I'd imagine Showstream is doing the undercard on the later night stuff. But in the afternoon, starting in the UK, Anthony Joshua versus Eric Molina. The last we saw of Eric Molina, he was beating Tomas Adamek in a fight that everybody thought he was going to lose because they remember seeing him get knocked out in 1 by Chris Arreola, getting knocked out in 9 by Deontay Wilder. I really don't know what to take from this. This is just Anthony Joshua just still doing the same shit. You know, how many tune-ups do you need? I'll say this, on this side, I know that he'll sell 10,000 tickets in 5 seconds in the UK. But if the next fight is not the Klitschko fight that they've been talking about, I think on this side, the people are going to be like, all right, come on now. Let's cut the bullshit and either fight somebody who we think is a credible fighter or give up the title and keep on working your way up. It sucks that nowadays you get the champion who's still working his way up. If you wanted that belt so bad, then what comes with the belt is an expectation from the fans that you're going to fight a certain level of fighter. And the level that he's fought since doesn't meet up to those expectations.
Well, the irony of this is this. It's a hell of a card.
Mm-hmm.
You got 3 other heavyweights. You can have a potential rematch. Mm-hmm. You could have... I don't want to count David Chisora, but but you got to count him when he in the UK. And then you got Kong.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like whoever shows up big that night basically is on a fast track to that next fight. You know, we all would hope it's Kong. That would be the fight that everybody would want to see. And besides, his ass, he didn't have a fight last time.
Well, he had a good cardio workout though. You want to make sure he's got his cardio up, you know.
But
What do you take from this? Okay.
To me, it's a setup.
Let's play like this. This is how good of the fight this is. When do you expect him to knock Molina out? Because that really is the only question.
5.
I'm gonna say 3. I mean, his knockout losses were 1-1 and 9.
That's why I said 5.
I kind of meet him. I'm gonna go 3. I think Josh was gonna try to make a statement and say, "See what I did with them compared to Deontay Wilder," and everybody's gonna be like, "Yeah," and compared to Chris Areola, it was shit. You know. So I mean,
it's not what Joshua is capable of. It's the idea of Molina's like, I'm not gonna get caught in the first round anymore. I'm gonna fight this one out until the death, but the death will be about 5.
Yeah.
It just.
I guess he's got to have some confidence going into it. But here's the one thing that scares me about this fight and how ugly this can be and how quick it can be over is Molina said he's literally training for the knockout. Like, oh, that's not good. That's not good. That means you're going to leave yourself wide open. It may be, instead of 3, it may be 30 seconds.
That means you're training to be gassed.
You don't think it's going past 5 rounds. And you're going to go for a home run shot, hopefully. At least, hey, if you're going to do that, at least take your shot, right?
I mean, you know what? That's smart marketing to walk in there. I hope you training for 12. Like, I'm going in there for the knockout because if you think I'm coming, I mean, let's be honest. Can he do worse than Malik Scott?
No.
Okay.
All right. Like you were talking about Dillian White versus Derek Chisora. These guys are throwing tables today. Throwing tables like they're goddamn housewives of New Jersey and shit like that.
I order.
Yeah. And good news, Derek Chisora did not get glassed in this exchange. Let's just hope the fight is half as good as their shit talking has been. Don't be Billy Joe Saunders and leave all your fight at the fucking podium. I don't want that to be the best part of the fight. I mean, it already is. But I don't want it to be that much of the best part of the fight.
Well, here's the thing. Derek Chisora, you got to win. Because you will go for down in history as a guy who gets his ass whipped at the most press conferences, who gets in the most pre-fight fights, and never wins the fucking fight.
WBC eliminator. So that means one of these guys is going to be fighting on the final eliminator to see who fights Deontay Wilder whenever he comes back. Luis Concepcion. And
that's good. That looks good.
Call it, 5 for Concepcion's WBA 115 belt. Your fight is a guy who is taking a humongous step up, but people think that he may have what it takes.
Well, he does have the judges.
That's true. He does have the judges, and if you're going to fight in the UK, the one thing you want is the judges on your side. Concepcion should win this fight, and I say should.
But
do they are they ready to crown the young guy, or does he need some more work? It almost feels like those judges are going to decide halfway through that, like, I don't know.
This is going to be one of
But it is a really good. It's a really good card. This is a really good card to end it. Callum Smith, the perennial upstart, the perennial up and comer.
That's a damn shame when you perennial.
He's a perennial prospect, man. That's just what he is. That's probably not a good title to be a perennial prospect.
He looks like he needs to be in a boxing movie. You know,
he is what people think could be on the world level, but he's never really pushed himself past the domestic level. He kind of reminds me of a super middleweight Deontay Wilder. Like, you keep on expecting him to take this next step up,
and
it's almost like Callum Smith is never going to take a step up until it's a title shot. I mean, how long has he been a prospect now? He's got to be pushing 35 years old now. I'm just bullshitting. I'm just bullshitting. But I'm just saying.
I'm trying to give him now.
I'm just saying. It just seems like his name has been thrown around for a while. Oh, he could fight Jack coming up. He could fight Groves. You know, you always hear his name thrown around, but he's still just in that perennial prospect area. That's just what he is. He's 26 years old. I mean, shit. Canelo's 26 years old or 25 years old, ain't he? Is it Canelo 25?
You know what?
I mean, that's the kind of thing you're looking at. Murat Gassi at 23 years old. I mean, this guy's 26 years old. It's like, when did he debut? How long ago did he debut?
12.
So 4 years. Okay,
that's
it's about time though that he starts stepping up, right? Because if you're on that world level, 4 years in, you should start to be pushing for a world title. And I don't want to see a guy like Callum Smith go from fighting nobodies to being in there with one of the top guys. If he's in there with a Jack or a DeGale or even a Groves, who I don't rate as high as those guys for obvious reasons, but is light years ahead of him in experience, that could throw a wrinkle into his prospect.
Where does his team go from here?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I don't.
Like what?
I know he has his British title, his Commonwealth title, I think is what it is. But it's like,
I was about to be so mean.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like you almost that's almost a crutch to stay at the domestic level. Like, you need to get some of them former world title contenders or maybe aging former champions on the back end to get in some experience. Somebody who's going to actually move you to that next level, because there are steps that go to this, and unless he is that next level fighter, taking that humongous step from facing the low level guys to a champion is usually a recipe for disaster.
So what happens when I don't think him or his team know how to approach getting that next step.
Well, look at his brother. He went from nothing. Canelo. I mean, he did get a title before that, but I'm just saying.
So it's the same nothingness
work to a title, and then hopefully score a big payday.
But you can't,
is that what you want?
But the difference is weight class. You know, like, let's be honest. Like, I don't know how his brother got that fucking belt. So but these 68s are taken. So I guess he's going to take on the winner between DeGale and Jack.
Like I said, his name is always thrown about for stuff like that, but then it's just like, that's all you ever hear. It's like,
because he doesn't have.
He is the number one contender for Jack's belt, but Jack obviously going to fight DeGale.
So after that,
and that's what I'm saying. Is this? I just think it's just too much of a jump, man. I mean, you're fighting a guy in blackledge who's he's just a domestic level fighter. You got to find somebody in between there. I mean, the best guy he fought was Rocky Fielding. I mean, there's not much there.
They're gonna say that, you know, he could fight with his brother, right? But here's the question: no matter if he fights DeGale or Jack, right? I'm pretty sure they have knowledge of him.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure one of them or both of them might have sparred him way back in the day. And I'm pretty sure both of them feel like they could beat the shit out of him. So, where do you go?
That's what I'm saying. That's the whole point. Is like there needs to be, there's somewhere in between a blackledge and a Jack. There's somebody in between there. You need to be fighting those guys in between those guys, right? Because you don't want him to be the UK Gary Russell, right? Gary Russell fought nobody.
Then
Lomachenko got schooled, but look what the schooling
did to him.
Look what he did after that. He seemed to be a different level fighter. Oh, because I learned some shit. But it shouldn't take an ass whipping to teach you. If you're sometimes it can. It doesn't have to be though. Like I'm saying, there are levels to the game. Like they always say, there's levels. There's a level between Blackledge and a guy like Jack or DeGale. Find that guy in between there, and you need to be fighting those level fighters to get you ready to make a jump. That way, the jump's not so dramatic.
It might be too late though.
Yeah, it probably is too late.
He's about to jump into. He's about to jump into some deep shit.
Jump into the fire, shit.
I mean, hey, some people wind up. Look at Jack. Who knew? Who knew? Like, who fucking knew? He got thrown into the fire. Hey. Came on the other side. Callum Smith, he's going to get thrown into the fire. Hey.
He may come on the other side.
Or he could be barbecue. Yeah. But we're going to find out.
We're going to find out. Scott Quigg also on there. Moving up to featherweight. Not much to say there. Like you said, Luis Ortiz is fighting David Allen. David Allen, like 11 fights in.
You about to get fucked up.
We'll see. Because if Ortiz has another effort like he had last month, maybe that fight with Anthony Joshua is going to happen a lot quicker than we thought.
No,
I'm just saying.
This is about to be horrific. I'm gonna tell you something. His team. Do you realize after he pick him up off the canvas, he gonna cuss out everybody that have him sign his contract? Mm-hmm. Seriously, yep. Like really? Y'all sent me here, this motherfucker. Knowing he's pissed off. You can get him. Okay.
The last of the Showtime stuff, I'm going to hold off because I think that's the highlight of the weekend.
Okay.
Move to the HBO side. Early in the morning, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. But it'll be shown at night for us. Joseph Parker, Andy Ruiz for the vacant WBO title. Parker guy, young, gifted, but flawed, but has been battle tested against a guy like Takam. What was that last fight? I forget. He hit the guy when he's on the ground. I can't remember who he was fighting now that I'm trying to think about it. But this fight against Andy Ruiz. And Andy Ruiz is supposed to be in the best shape of his life.
And what does that mean?
From the looks of his face, right? No, and because he's such a fat guy, he truly does look to be in tremendous shape, right? But he's so used to being a fat guy, sometimes it just doesn't translate losing all that weight, especially the first time you lose all that weight. Things move a little bit differently. You know what I mean? You're used to being a fat guy. You kind of got to get used to being a thinner guy. If you're going to get into shape, you got to be used to being thinner. You know, it just.
Well, he's got a little hope being a fat guy because he can lean on that ass. But okay, this is totally bitch assness and speculation and just me being a hater. But why does he look like one of the old 1920s movies workers for Al Capone in the face? Why? If I could get him like one of them old ass fedoras, and I could swear to God he was muscle for Lucky Luciano or somebody.
So he looked like an extra from Boardwalk Empire. Is what you're trying to say?
Fucking right.
And here's my thing with Ruiz too is they always claim, but you know he's skilled and his hand speed is pretty good, right? But to me, his hand speed is pretty good for a fat dude. His skill is pretty good.
Shaming.
And God damn it, I'm Mexican. I make fun of. I'm gonna take on my people because
you're fat.
Because
shaming.
Our two heavyweight contenders, this is what they look like. Well, I guess Eric Molina is one of them too, because he was the Texas Latino heavyweight champion. Just so you know, Eric Molina. That's right, buddy. No, but I just think that he just got credit for being. You know, like when we were talking about the Kovalev Ward fight, and I said I thought people gave more credit to Ward because he wasn't getting beat as bad in the second half as he was in the first half. So in other words, they gave him all the rounds because hell, he wasn't getting beat as bad as he was in the first half. And I think that is with Ruiz. They give him more credit because they don't think they're going to see that kind of hand speed or even skill from, because he kind of looks like a butter bean, like a Mexican butter bean, you know. So it's kind of like Heavy D. I'll go old school rap.
But Heavy could dance.
No, he couldn't. Heavy could dance for a fat guy. He was okay at dancing, but he was good for a fat guy.
You can't dance in diddly dee without being winded.
It's the bum diddly 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 dee.
I can't keep up with the diddly dee.
No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think that's...
First of all,
I think
you dead ass wrong. Because I just realized something. I tried to do them dance moves in a raincoat back in the day when I was a kid, and I was tired as shit.
That just means that you were one of the black kids who couldn't dance like that.
Oh, no, I could dance. But that big motherfucker was moving.
I really think, as much as people think that this is going to be a close fight, I don't really see it being like that. And I'm going to be kind of contrarian from here on out with a lot of these fights. I think Joseph Parker is going to establish the jab. I think he's going to wear him down. And believe it or not, I think that in this first fight that weight loss is going to be a detriment to Ruiz. He needs to get used to that body size if this is where he's going to stay. If he comes into shape, I think he's going to come in. I think he's going to come down about 30 pounds less than what he has been. I think Parker is going to soften him up. And then depending on how good the chin is of Ruiz, which we don't necessarily know, I think he's going to beat on him late, and it's going to be either a wide points victory, like 8-4, 9-3, or it's going to be a late stoppage in the 10th, 11th round.
The only problem he has is not the weight loss. You could lose weight and keep your hand speed. It's your feet.
Yeah.
The feet is like. What's the use of losing 30 if you can't move? That's the question. Like Bermain Stavin could lose 30. He still can't move. So, I mean, lean on his ass.
But what happened? It's like, it's kind of like, like that kid in junior high school who grew like 6-7 inches in one summer.
Yeah, I hated that kid. I never grew.
Believe it or not, at the whopping 5'8" that I am, I actually had one of those summers. I was extra short, and I got to be average size for a little bit. I grew 6 inches in one summer. Right? Think about how short I would have been if it wasn't for that growth spurt. We look like Danny DeVito over here. But like when somebody grows a lot in a short amount of time, it takes him a while to get that coordination and everything.
Right.
I think the same can be said if he loses that much weight. It takes you a while to get used to everything. You're used to balancing out a different way. I mean, I know he's doing it in the gym, but doing it in the gym and doing it for real, two different things. I don't know.
No,
There's just something that tells me, I don't know.
You're absolutely right. I'm just saying you're fat shaming.
Yeah, that may be too.
We're sensitive about
I got room to talk.
But it's just it's always the feet. Like any other sport you play.
As I'm on my third beer. That's why I'm losing track of thought too.
Any sport you play, the first thing you need to work on is your athleticism and your feet. And whether you gain, whether you lose, the question is, how are those feet? Because that's the base of everything. And with him and Parker, like you said, Parker going to establish the jab. So if he's able to establish the jab, he's able to establish the movement. Question is, can you catch him?
And he's going to have all the people in New Zealand going fucking insane for him. I don't know. People are calling this a pretty close fight. I don't think it's going to be. I think Parker's going to
no, because the one thing that has stuck that we haven't touched on in a long time is sometimes when you're at home and you're trying to show off, you fuck up. So don't just try to play to the crowd and beat up old Butterball. Stick to whatever game plans that work, and don't try to show out because you might get caught.
Give me a pick.
I'm picking Parker.
Parker.
Yeah.
Decision knockout.
I think that'll probably be a decision because that's the one thing about the weight. His legs might be stronger than
And if history tells us anything, he's Mexican. He's got a chin.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the legs don't keep his ass up. Like,
real quick, we kind of skipped through this one a little bit. Ray Beltran, Mason Menard, Rock Hard Menard, a great porn name, absolutely great porn name. People have seen him on Showbox. He's had some good performances this year. You like that. I know that.
Walking out with Ron Jeremy.
I think Beltran
beats his ass.
I think he does. I think people want Menard to win because they've liked what they've seen with him on Showbox this year. But a guy like Beltran has seen everything, man. Unless Menard can go through him, he ain't gonna be able to go around him.
Beltran is like one of the guys that he's a great name to have on your list if you're going up, but you might be fucking with the wrong one because he's not exactly that guy. You have to be on another level to beat Beltran. Mm-hmm. And if you ain't on another level, then your ass is probably going to get whooped.
The headliner, of course, Terrence Crawford on HBO against John Molina Jr. for Crawford's WBO, WBC 140 belts. It's easy. We said when this fight was announced. Easy to shit on it from a distance because we've seen Molina get schooled by Broner, really lackluster in that first PBC card. We've seen him get knocked out by, as the thing comes through on ESPN, that Miguel Cotto will end his 15-month layoff by taking on James Kirkland on February 25th. And I think it's going to be in Dallas. Yeah. Breaking news. Dun, dun.
If Anna Wolf ain't there, I don't want to hear about this.
But Molina earned the shot because, like I said, if Provodnikov had beat Molina, and we saw Molina get knocked out by Matisse, I think that's where I was where I got cut off there. We would have said, you know what, Provodnikov, I'd like to see him fight Crawford. Well, Molina earned that shot by beating the fuck out of Provodnikov. Now, do I think that's going to be a competitive fight? Hell no. Do I think Crawford's going to go right through him? Absolutely. Do I think it will take a typical Crawford 6 to 7 rounds to start going up? Yes. Does Molina have a puncher's chance? Slight.
Well,
slight at best. Yes, he does. Because he caught Matisse with some shots and knocked his ass down. He can do that.
He has to do it within the first 4. Because that's when Crawford is just awkward and getting caught and doesn't know. Sometimes he look just completely like stupid.
Well, you can tell he's trying to figure you out, and that's exactly the time to go for him.
Right, exactly. But sometimes, when he's figuring somebody out, it's like I don't understand certain things he does.
It's a little bit different than what you'd see a Ward or maybe a Mayweather or a Pacquiao even do,
where they don't get clocked upside the head trying to figure you out.
And Crawford has gotten caught a couple of times, most notably with Gamboa. So could Molina get to him? Yeah.
He ain't got Gamboa's.
Probably, though, that would only wake him up and really get him into the fight. And Crawford, for as boring as he was against Postal, but taking his foot off the gas, and he didn't do him any favors with the fans with that, he has some dog in him. And if you bring the dog out in him, he's not afraid to try to hurt you and taunt you as he knocks you down.
The one thing that's a consistent thing about Crawford, there comes a stretch in every fight that I've seen with him where he just totally kicks ass completely. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It could be 2, 3, 4 round stretch where it's just like, this is not good, right? He's about to fuck you up, right? You know whatever shot you just got hit with, don't worry about that one. It's the next one that's about to come that you need to worry. So, do I think Molina has a chance? Slight chance early, but the probability of him getting the shit kicked out of him is pretty high.
About 99.99%.
You know, it's DNA high.
Give me Terrence Crawford. I'm gonna say TKO 9. I think that's about right.
7.
7? I could see it easily. That's
because Molina's a little bit, not necessarily slow too, but awkward. So he doesn't really get off as much as he should sometimes.
No, he waits a lot. He waits a lot for his shots. And if you're waiting on Crawford, Crawford's going to pick you apart. It doesn't match up well at all for Molina. That's an Omaha, right? It's an Omaha, right? So at least the crowd will be going crazy. What I think the highlight of the night is the late night Showtime card.
That's the one.
I don't even know the whole undercards and everything. But the main event, I'm gonna start the main event because I think the lead-in fight is much better. Jesus Cuellar versus Abner Mares. For Cuellar's WBA, I think that is a I'd see that's where I got it confused. I think that is a regular featherweight title.
Actually, yeah, WBA World Featherweight title.
Yeah.
Which is
everybody thinks that Mares is going to get dominated in this fight because Cuellar is a much bigger fighter.
That doesn't necessarily mean anything.
I think that some of what we saw with Mares in the Santa Cruz fight is what we're going to see in the Cuellar fight. And his skill is underrated. Remember when he was at 118, and especially at 118, he was a monster at 118. He went through 122 pretty well. It wasn't until he got to featherweight where the size factor caught up to him. Johnny Gonzalez caught him. And I still say it was a quick stoppage. If he gets out of that first round, you never know how that shit works. Maybe he comes back and comes through. But he didn't, and his confidence got shot.
See,
it seems like he got a little bit of it back in
Santa Cruz.
The Santa Cruz fight. Now, the scary part is, of course, he got denied the license in New York the first time they're supposed to fight for the eye damage. He got his license in L.A. or in California. I see Mares actually winning this fight, but I think the damage to that eye could really catch up to him. I could see him not comfortably, but definitely leading this fight after like 9 rounds, maybe 6-3. Definitely fight at 4. But that the damage to the eye can catch up to him, almost kind of like Vitaly Klitschko and Lennox Lewis, where people thought Klitschko had a chance to get him, and maybe people even thought he was even up on the cards, even though Lewis was coming on, and it was the eye that really got, caught up to him. And I could see the same thing with Mares. That's where I differ from. I actually think he's going to be winning this fight, and the eye could come into play. If the eye doesn't come into play, I think he will get to a unanimous decision win. I'm just worried about that eye.
I think this is an interesting fight because it's really about confidence. A confident Abner Mares schools and beat the brakes off of him. Because if you look at who Abner's beat and Abner's faced, and look at who he's faced, take Darchinian.
Yeah.
He beat Darchinian when Darchinian was Darchinian.
The rain has come in Texas again, and it's getting cold.
Cuellar just beat Darchinian not too long ago.
Yes.
When Darchinian wasn't Darchinian.
Exactly.
So, is that... the question is he fool's gold? Because if Abner gets in the ring and say, yeah, you bigger, but I face better than you. and I know I'm better than you. Because his confidence is still not 100%.
No.
I mean, that's why I say if his confidence was 100%, I think he wipes him out easy.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you on that, too.
You know,
He just has never been the same since Johnny Gonzalez.
right. And the eye is it's iffy because if he start feeling himself, I doubt he gets hit that much. At least in that eye. Because when he's on, he's nasty. He can box you, he can brawl you, you know what I'm saying? He's one of the few fighters that can switch it up per round to something completely different. So he could confuse the hell out of you if he wants to. I mean, I say he wins about 9-3. I mean,
That's what I was talking about, where I'm going to look contrarian to people because I think people think that Morris is done, and they may be right. I wouldn't. I damn sure wouldn't argue with you.
No.
If that was your point, if that was your stance on it,
I think he would have been done if he fought. Like, Quayle got to jump on him and establish that he's the man early. Then Mares might quit. But if Mares comes in there the same way he came in there against Santa Cruz and he builds a lead, it's over. Because he's like, I'm going to get a title again. And I'm not, he's not going to back up off that. So he's very similar in path and trajectory as Nonito. And he's at that wavering space where Nonito is at when you can see the confidence coming back, but you can see him still holding on to the loss. So, and Nonito kept winning. So I think Mares is about to win this one.
And I think people forget Mares went through in consecutive fights. Yanni Perez at 20-0, Victor Archinian when he only had 2 losses, Joseph Edbecco twice, Eric Morel, and Samuel Moreno and Ponce de Leon. Those are consecutive fights. He went through a murderer's row.
Right.
And then, the Gonzalez loss, he's fought Santa Cruz, which I thought was a competitive fight. I thought definitely Santa Cruz won that fight. But Cuellar is not
on that level.
He ain't the best fighter Mares has fought, but Mares is definitely the best fighter that Cuellar has fought. So in my opinion. That's why I say I'm a little contrarian with everybody. They think that's Cuellar, and I can't argue with them, but I kind of have a feeling, you know what I mean? It's kind of like the main event. Jermall Charlo, IBF junior middleweight champion against Julian J. Rock Williams. Man, now let's take a second real quick to say how great on paper that this fight is. This is exactly
50-50
what we want, though, right? 2 young guys, 2 undefeated guys fighting for a title. Whoever loses this fight, unless they get totally destroyed, is no worse for the wearer. I think you don't really fall you may fall 1 step back, but you ain't falling multiple steps back. This is exactly the kind of fight that should be headline, but I can understand it because you got the Mexican fighting in LA. I get it. J-Rock from Philly.
Right.
Charlo from Houston. It doesn't really speak to LA. You got to put Mares and Cuellar in the main event. I get it. But this should be the focal point of the telecast as far as I'm concerned.
This is going to be an interesting ass fight. 50-50 fight. The crazy thing, I got to go with Charlo. Not for the hometown thing, but him and his brother have this consistent knack of doing something, pulling shit out of the bag that we didn't think they had in them. Now, is the layoff a problem? Yeah. But that's like, it's hard to bet against people who, he could box, but I don't know, can he really fight? And goddamn, he can fight too? He could fight, but can he really just hold this person off and box? Damn, he could box. Like, those 2 dudes have this knack of being able to do what it takes to win. J-Rock, oh, fuck. It's just one of those things where you dealing with a young, hungry lion. And he scares me because he's so fucking calm.
Oh, yeah. He's
He's like, yeah.
he has zero doubt he's winning this fight.
Yeah, he's like, look, man, I've been waiting on this since I was 3 years old, and I'm going to just kind of walk in there. No, I'm not shaving. I'm just coming in here, and I'm going to show you what Philly does, and I'm going to kick his ass, and I'm going to go home. I'm like, I don't know what you know, but you definitely got the inside scoop, because he's scary calm. It's like Walter Payton walking into a room full of linebackers, just like, I know I'm gonna run y'all ass over, right? It's just.
So we're both gonna go with Charlo. And that's why I said I felt contrarian to what I know a lot of people are gonna be going. They're gonna be going with J-Rock. And like you said, it truly is a 50-50 fight, which. That's why I find it kind of odd that so many people think that, not that they think it, but it's like that it's so heavy on one side that people think that J-Rock's going to win. And then talking about stopping him late, it's like, I don't see that. I know Williams is a big 54, but I think Charlo's an even bigger 154. I think he's going to use his jab to control. He has a great 1-2. He definitely has the power. I think he has the edge on power. Speed. Give me an edge of J-Rock.
I can see it.
Experience. You got to edge Charlo. He's been in there. You can say whatever you want about an 85-year-old K9 Bunders and maybe a past his prime Austin Trout. But they still have layers to them, much more so than what Williams has fought. He edges in experience. I don't know who J-Rock is sparring with, but I know every day that at some point in the gym, Jermall and there's Landy Laura are in there. So boxing-wise, even though I think J-Rock has more facets to his game maybe than Charlo does, he's not going to be able to show them more than what he sees in the gym.
The thing that gets me is not the physical abilities. Both Charlo brothers have a knack for controlling the moment that starts the momentum or kills the momentum. And most people can't catch that's what make a lot of people great. It's, using Reggie Miller as a reference. Reggie Miller was great, not because he was the dude who was going to shoot the three with 1 second to go. He was great because he was the dude you gave the ball to when you was down 4 and you needed a bucket to stay in the game. These dudes, you know what? I need to establish my dominance in these 30 seconds to let him know, don't try that again. They do that. And it's hard to, because that beats somebody down mentally. When they like, okay, I'm going this way. Wait a minute. Shit, I lost that little firefight. Okay, well, I'm going to do this. Wait a minute. He took us, like, they take stands that are mental. J-Rock is a monster, man. J-Rock is a fucking monster.
And I think it would probably even be better if J-Rock won this fight. Because it leads up storylines to the other 154 champions in Jermall and Lara. It is better if J-Rock wins this fight. So if he wins this fight, I ain't mad at it because I like Williams. I just kind of have a feeling like you do that Jermall has a little bit more. And we can go back to the beginning of this show when the only Charlo was being talked about was Jermall. Right. And I was like, Jermall is the man. I'm telling you, out of these two guys, Jermall is the man. And I think at this point, even though they're both champions, I think people have established, I think Jermall is the better fighter. And if he was fighting Jermall, I would definitely favor J-Rock. But against Jermall, I got to go with Charlo on this one. I think it's going to be very tight. Give me 115, 113 Charlo. Flip that around, I can easily see it. I just don't see either one of these guys dominating either, though. That's one of the things I don't see in this fight. I think the one thing that could play into this is I think Charlo's power is a little bit more than definitely anything that
Julian seen.
Yeah, and I think that could come into play.
On top of that, in defense of something that Julian might see, because he's calm. Some fighters can fight angry. Mm-hmm. And some fighters can't calm themselves down to keep it at a good level. The question is, can he get him angry to the point that he loses control and takes advantage of it? Because when the Bundras fight, that showed me something. Because he could have just stepped on him when he wanted to. Mm-hmm. But he backed off like, no, I'm going to get another shot anyways. That level of patience and anger and aggression, that's dangerous. But that's when you got to push somebody mentally to the point where they just lose it. And that calmness says he got a plan. And I want to see how this plan comes together.
Absolutely. Give me a score.
Shit.
I gave you 7-5 Charlo.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to keep that same score.
You don't want to be the same as me.
I'm trying to.
Too much agreement.
Yeah. Ooh.
Just go 115, 130. You know you want to.
8-4. I was about to go 9-3 just to be a dick, and that was just too far.
It's like, nah, they ain't gonna be like that. Yeah. All right, let's clear it off there. We got it all in an hour and 8 minutes by the time this is over. Again, follow the show, Cheap Seats Box.
iTunes,
Stitcher, rate and review. iTunes, rate and review. Help us out. Be the next unofficial sponsor. We will shout you out. Please give us a rate and review. It just keeps the show more noticeable. When people search boxing in iTunes, it just keeps us visible, baby. That's all we want. And more people coming in. Get those end of year things, your candidates, your awards into us. cheapseatsboxing@gmail.com. And I think that's it, man. You got anything?
This is where the fighters fight and the fans commentate.
And we do it just like you from the cheap seats, because we ain't buying no tickets, goddamn it. Peace.
I'll never be shamed again. I'll be the next heavyweight champion.